This seriously caught me off guard because Gary Black now wants to model the Tesla Optimus bot in his model. Does anyone have a Tesla Optimus model they want to share, he says. Gary may not increase his Tesla stock price target by much, if by anything, but he does seem to generally be interested in learning a lot about the bot. Probably Gary seeing a Tesla bot fold a shirt like this got him excited and got him thinking. How many people would want their laundry to be folded? At least some people. I know I certainly would get a bot just to do that task. And as the bot improves, we will see more people, more Tesla bots that typically completely write off the bot, start becoming interested in it, and perhaps include some of the future earnings from the bot in their models, pushing expectations higher and therefore pushing Tesla stock higher as well. Uber steps up efforts to get drivers into Teslas. Uber has begun sharing data with Tesla about where its drivers do most of their trips, starting in New York City, which will help Tesla to understand exactly where it should open more superchargers. It's also offering drivers incentives of up to $2,000 on the purchase of a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, and is hosting test drive events at select Tesla stores to expose drivers to the EV experience. To get the incentive though, they must take delivery by March 31st and complete 100 trips by May 15th to qualify, and this is a very similar promotion that we saw earlier back in December. There is a chance that Tesla is contributing a little bit to these incentives from Uber, but I don't think it would be much, and maybe Tesla is not contributing anything at all because you have to complete quite a few trips if you do want to get these incentives. Tesla battery supplier CATL is sorting out production line resources and pushing for cost reductions to bring down prices. This is really good news for EV adoption because cheaper batteries means cheaper EVs. More data is coming out, and we now know that in the US in December, Tesla had its best month ever, beating the second best month by 17%, so that was pretty good. I expect slower deliveries for Tesla this year, but the moment the next generation vehicle gets released, I expect Tesla's deliveries to accelerate significantly again. Oh, Tesla is having to temporarily pause new Model 3 deliveries in Australia due to a technical compliance issue. I believe this is the refresh Model 3. I'm not 100% sure about that though. Tesla doesn't really specify what the issue is, but I found this website and it says it is regarding the child restraint anchorage points in the 2024 Tesla Model 3, so I assume it is the refresh Model 3. Yeah, almost certainly it is the refresh Model 3. It appears that Tesla might do a recall to any vehicles if any have been delivered. Does not look like a big problem to me though. And if any cars have been delivered, it would be a very small number. Tesla is now charging money again for most Model S and X colors in North America. You can see the colors here. This means that in the US, if you get a Model X long range with any color other than stealth gray, the car will no longer be eligible for the $7,500 federal point of sale credit. And there's some context. In September of last year, Tesla made all Model S and X colors a no added cost option. This signals that the demand is pretty good for the Model X. However, if you browse through Tesla's inventory, you might be able to find some cars with discounts, and you might still be able to get the full $7,500 federal credit, even if the color is a different color. But it appears that these other vehicles that still qualified for tax credits got snatched. So if you do want to get one and you see a color that you like, if you do want that $7,500 rebate, then hurry up. We got a model mix of last week's Tesla sales in China, and no surprise, the Model Y still continues to dominate the deliveries. That might change though, starting with next week, because we did see these price cuts. James says that Tesla needs Germany sales to grow to reach volume objectives in 2024. Germany was probably the biggest disappointment in 2023. I think James is speaking specifically about Europe. But it's not like it was in Tesla's control whether Germany was to enter a recession or not. In life, sometimes you just have circumstances that go against you and you just have to roll with the punches. But sometime in the next few years, I believe very strongly that we will see headlines, so Germany beats all of the expectations. It will probably happen when Tesla releases the next generation vehicle. I personally actually believe that luck is a critical element of success. I think everyone gets unlucky and lucky, but if you do not have the skills to take advantage of the luck that you get, it always seems that you only have bad luck. But how about your skills? Are your skills good? Are you actually capable? And speaking of skills and being prepared, Tesla still grew 57% in Europe in 2023 year over year, despite having such low sales, relatively speaking, in Germany. That's because Tesla put in the work. Tesla is not just relying on luck. Tesla has the world's best-selling vehicle now, because I believe it's the world's best vehicle. If you worked hard on being world-class, it's really difficult not to be very successful. Now, Tesla is cutting prices further in Europe, and specifically here in Germany, by a substantial amount, by as much as 5,000 euros, but remember that Tesla was benefiting from a pretty substantial subsidy in Germany, which just expired last month. So I think this is only really unexpected to those that did not follow that development in Germany. Because if you remember, when Tesla lost that subsidy last month, Tesla actually basically subsidized the vehicle price. And now naturally Tesla just simply is continuing that this year. So while technically it is a price cut, the price is not really getting cheaper for the consumer because you are no longer getting that subsidy from the government. So while Tesla bears will make this a big story, this particular price cut in Germany, I don't see it as major news. However, Tesla did cut Model Y prices by 49% across several Europe countries, so that's not just Germany. Model 3 prices, though, were unchanged, which just goes to show you how well the refreshed Model 3 is received in Europe. We estimate that Model Y accounts for just 11% of Tesla's volume, says Gary. We expect European inventory discounts to be cut by about the same amount, at least for the time being. So is this a real price cut? Not really, unless Tesla adds new inventory discounts, which I would not really be surprised to see because Tesla usually does that, especially at the end of the quarter. We estimate that 2024 earnings will be impacted by 15 cents per share because of this price cut, says Gary. As such, we reduce our Tesla's earnings estimates to $3.75 from $3.90. Gary continues and says, in our opinion, Tesla's management still does not see that cutting configurator prices and inventory discounts by the same amount is value destructive, since it merely accelerates orders from future periods. In essence, Tesla is training its customers to wait for a deal. That last part here, I do agree. If you do follow Tesla, you are definitely waiting for inventory discounts, unless you're just not patient at all. For example, one of my friends was actually buying a Tesla a little while ago, and I told my friend, just wait till the end of the quarter and then buy a Tesla. I saved some money for my friend, so I was pretty happy about that. In essence, Tesla is training its customers to wait for a deal. Again, in our opinion, Tesla's management needs to use other levers in its marketing toolkit, for example, mass communications that accelerate EV adoption to drive volumes. Every European auto manufacturer is likely to follow these price cuts, so we assume zero incremental volume growth. But now that the prices have come down so much, before, when Tesla cut prices initially, it wouldn't really do all that much to other EV automakers, because let's say they were hoping that eventually, okay, we're gonna make 10% in terms of profit margins once we scale up a little bit. But now they're looking at Tesla cutting prices over and over and over again, and now their old projections say, if we keep scaling like this, previously we thought we would make 10%, but now, because of the price cuts, we would need to do price cuts too, so that 10% is now 5%, 3%, 0%, minus 5% maybe? So I don't think it's as black and white as Gary says it is. I think Tesla is just simply following a different strategy. Each additional price cut hurts the competition exponentially more. It also seems that 0% financing and leasing for all Model Y variants started in Germany. leasing is also at 0%. And generally, James does agree with Gary's take. Electric writes that Tesla joins VW and BYD in cutting prices in Germany. I'm not quite sure it is entirely fair to say that Tesla is basically cutting prices because Volkswagen or BYD cut prices because Tesla did start the price war first. So it's more like Volkswagen and BMW are just trying to catch up to Tesla. But if you are not really making money, how much can you drop these prices? Tesla is still making money, so Tesla can still cut prices. I don't think there's anyone else that's positioned as well as Tesla to play this game as long and as well as Tesla. As far as specific markets where Tesla cut prices in Europe would include Germany, France, Norway, and we would also have to include Dutch customers. It does not seem that every single country is affected, but the most important ones are. Now, Tesla also did cut prices in China earlier, and this seems to be a result of that in one Tesla showroom, but we need to wait until the delivery numbers come out from China next week for actual tangible results. It is nice to see a line, but this is a bit more subjective. Ooh, we have some photos of, well, these are unconfirmed, but supposedly it's the refreshed Model 3 Performance or Plaid. The seats do look a bit different, so I expect more changes. These look just like the Model S Plaid sports seat that Tesla accidentally leaked in the service manual. Here are a few more other expected changes. Updated motor, updated brakes, redesigned rear spoiler, new exclusive wheel design, sports seating, which we just saw, even better air suspension compared to baseline Model 3. I like that. And supposedly there are 4 other notable hardware changes that this account cannot share yet. Sometimes this account has some insider sources, so it's likely that it's the case. The only part where I might be a bit skeptical is how notable these changes are going to be. And of course, I would expect to see these changes in the new Model Y later too. Tesla stock is no longer the most shorted stock in the US. However, it might be a bit more accurate to look at the float, percentage of the flow that's shorted, which is basically how many shares are actively traded in the stock market. And Tesla is at 3%. Apple and Microsoft are only at 0.65%, so that's actually not that much compared to Tesla. But there is one surprise, not really the Tesla stock investors. General Motors, 8.17%, really stands out on this list. Troy shared a chart that shows Model Y sales over time in China, Europe, and the US since sales began. Europe is not doing great, but the issue is not supply. Tesla finished Q4 with 32,000 unsold Model Ys in Europe despite Giga Berlin shutting down for 10 days in December. Troy explains why he thinks Tesla is struggling in Germany. In Germany, many companies buy vehicles for their employees to use. Currently, Tesla is not considered a desirable brand due to controversy on Twitter. Alex pushes back against Troy, saying that the Model Y was the best-selling battery electric vehicle in Germany, but Troy points to dropping quarterly sales. We reached a really good quarter here in Q4 of 2022, and then after that, every single quarter was slightly lower than the previous quarter, but remember, incentives were cut. There is more competition, but as Tesla later on releases new models, I think that will turn around. And Tesla's sales in Germany will grow again. Ooh, Lucid hit a new all-time low today of $2.85 per share. The stock is now down over 95% from its all-time high in November. Today, as I'm recording this, it is conveniently down 4.69%. Look at these charts. Last 1 year, down. Last 6 months, down 60%. Last month, down 42%. Last 5 days, down almost 26%. The market cap now sits at $6.27 billion, and that still seems high. SpaceX is now offering a Starlink service that can deliver internet speeds equal to 10 gigabits. Wow, that's really fast. But you're gonna pay for that. $1.25 million up front, and then I think $75,000 a month. It is very expensive, but you can be literally anywhere in the world and have 10 gigabits per second. I think Farzad makes a good point here. This is a large deflationary force on infrastructure costs for remote areas around the world. The internet in 2024 is no different than water or electricity. This is a very big deal. Sixt, which is a huge rental car company in Europe, drops Tesla, buys 250,000 rental cars from Stellantis. They elaborated further a little bit and said that they are dropping Tesla because of deep price cuts, which undercut used car prices, and it also said that Teslas had higher repair costs compared to gas cars. Over time, that will change, and Teslas will be really popular rental cars, but it will take some time. Audi will soon be unveiling its all-electric wagon for the first time. This vehicle was spotted recently. Let's welcome a new EV player, everybody. It is Ram. Ram has launched its first EV in the US, a van with 162 miles of range, so not exactly a great start, but okay. And charging is pretty slow, only up to 150 kilowatts. I guess the only really good thing about this electric vehicle is that it exists, so it somehow helps us to transition to EVs a little bit faster. You look at the competitors, for example, the Mercedes-Benz e-Sprinter has battery that's almost the exact same size, but it does 200 miles instead of 162. Toyota says it's not even working on a cheap Toyota EV. They say that a cheap Toyota EV is not out of the question, just not anytime soon.
When you think about Tesla, so many people, and I think even yourself, you don't just value it as a car company, you value it as all of these additional elements. Does this mean that Elon Musk has absolute leverage when it comes to telling the board you either get along or I won't go along with anything else, and putting that into the Tesla basket?
Look, the reality is Musk is Tesla. Tesla is Musk. And when you think about the AI robotics, the disruptive technology that we've talked about in the program, that's significant. I mean, Musk is worth probably 60, 70% of the value of Tesla when you think about where everything's heading. So this is a little game of poker that's going to go on with the board. I think it ultimately gets resolved. That was sort of the street's view today. But no doubt, I mean, Will, it's the last thing you want to see is this sort of high-stakes drama played over X.
I don't think I have heard any institutional investor really put it like this in the last 1 or 2 years, that Elon Musk alone is worth 60 to 70% of Tesla's valuation. I remember Gary Black saying maybe about a year ago that if Elon quit Tesla, the stock would drop by maybe 10 to 15%, but nothing like 50, 60, 70%. I don't think the analyst thinks that if Elon quit that the stock would immediately drop by that much. I think that's basically just his Tesla stock valuation. I personally think that Elon Musk is worth to Tesla a lot more when things go badly, because Elon can overcome almost any crisis, really, when you think about it, when you look at his track record. When things are going well, I don't think there's a lot of upside to having Elon. There's definitely a lot of upside still, but I'm just saying Elon is much more valuable when things go badly.
Or how do you think they should strike the balance between ceding to him a little bit, but at the same time not, having to engage in tens of billions of dollars worth of buybacks and potentially to the detriment of investors if we do see, for example, an economic downturn?
Yeah, and I don't think they're doing this on the buybacks. I think here, now, clearly, the comp package being held up because of the lawsuit in Delaware that's still ongoing from 2018. I think what ultimately happens, the new comp package will get him up there from a percent, probably to 18, 20% with incentives. But then there's also thoughts, are there going to be new structures in terms of almost an AI unit within Tesla, where Musk maybe has more ownership of that, and then Tesla as a company has ownership of that? Because the reality is that 5 years from now, I think Tesla looks a lot different in terms of robotics, Optimus, and AI. That's going to be, I could argue, you have a stock that could double, over the next 4 or 5 years as FSD and AI ultimately play out. And I think Musk recognizes that as well in terms of the actual value.
If we basically have FSD solved and investors think that there's going to be material changes to Tesla's business because the bot will make a lot of money for Tesla. I think just a doubling would be way too little. I think there would be a lot more of an increase in Tesla's valuation then.
He's in the position that he's in right now because he sold down his stock, because he was trying to fund a number of different things. X is obviously the one that stands out the most. Should the board then be asking for some kind of guarantee from Elon Musk that, if this is the sticking point, this 25% that he's barred from, or he has to put it in lockup, in escrow, that 25% stake, so he never goes below, or something to that effect? Because, the big complaint about investors is when he sells down the stock, Tesla gets absolutely beaten down.
Well, and that's the frustration. I mean, if you look at Hyatt, he had 22% before the Twitter X purchase. So here it's like, okay, you purchased for $44 billion, an asset that's probably worth $5 to $10 billion today, and now the board should give you more money, and that's the frustration, right? And I heard it from investors, over the last 24 hours. But then it comes down to the biggest asset for Tesla is Musk. If Musk ultimately took AI outside of Tesla, that would change the dynamic of the Tesla story. And I think the board recognizes that, which is that this is going to be a little sort of old Western standoff happening between Musk and the board once the Delaware court clears.
Occasionally, Dan's stakes are in line with the market's emotions, but here I don't see really any emotion coming from him. He does recognize that it's extremely important to have Elon work at Tesla, and I think that's the best way to really think about it. Oh, Elon is so rich, why make him even richer? Well, if he cannot control 25% of Tesla, then he cannot control or influence the developments of Tesla's AI. He may not want to have much to do with it, and therefore Tesla would lose a lot in terms of future product development. I think whatever your opinion is on this subject, you need to slow down a little bit, relax for a moment, and really think it through. I don't see the world as a fair place. So I never use arguments like, oh, it's unfair, therefore now I am not going to do as well. My first reaction is always, what can I do about this? Interestingly, I started making a lot more money when I changed my thinking from, oh, everything is so unfair, I'm so unfortunate, to, okay, well, it is what it is. How can I deal with this? Would you want Elon to leave Tesla? And by the way, if he leaves Tesla, likely he would sell a lot of his stock within the next few years, perhaps. And that would certainly lower Tesla's stock price. Whereas if he stays at Tesla in the long term, he will still sell Tesla stock, but it won't be huge chunks, most likely, all at once. It will be a trickle, a slow trickle, which will still influence Tesla stock price a little bit, but I don't think the effect would be as much. Because if Elon sells a lot of Tesla stock at once, that creates this negative domino effect where short sellers will be thinking, oh, Elon is selling Tesla stock, therefore Tesla stock will go down, therefore we should short Tesla stock, and then some medium to short Tesla stock investors, even if they think the company is going to do okay, they don't really care about that. They just think, oh, well, Tesla stock is going to go down, so I might as well sell now, and that further makes Tesla stock go down. So the situation is not exactly super simple here. And if Elon sold Tesla stock like that, this wouldn't be just a short-term thing that's going on. No, this would be impacting Tesla's valuation, because that would mean Elon is no longer as committed as he was before. So think about that before deciding whether you want Elon to have a new compensation package or not.
Why did Musk choose this time to express himself, or has this been a long-standing issue?
This is just another head scratcher in terms of this comes out of the blue on X over the weekend in typical Musk fashion. Now, and there has been some growing frustration because of the comp package, but then you go back to 2018, the reason he's the richest person in the world is because of that comp package. But I think a lot of this has to do with AI. I mean, even what happened with Altman and as it all played out from an AI perspective, Musk does want more control from an AI perspective within Tesla. I think that's why the voting control is so important. But this is going to have to play out, and you also need to ultimately appease investors. That's sort of at play here, as this issue really starts to become a hot button one within Tesla community.
Being a Tesla stock investor is sure never boring. This is like a new Tesla stock season, and it's likely going to be just as dramatic as the last 2 years. YouTube is not able to resolve the issues with the Elver clip channel immediately. It will probably take at least a few weeks, so I will probably just upload all of the clips to this channel only. So if you are not subscribed but you want to see the clips, go ahead and click on the link in the description and subscribe to this new channel. And if you haven't seen the whole discussion about Elon Musk sort of wanting to not quite leave Tesla, but sort of, because he said he would take future AI products outside of Tesla. Watch this clip. It summarizes the whole thing.